Hello, friends. There are people in all of our lives whom we do not understand. Sometimes someone prepares us for something without saying anything, changes our thinking, and we ourselves do not understand when, how, and why we said yes to something. Have you ever felt that someone is secretly influencing your decisions? Has it ever happened that someone used your emotions in such a way that you started feeling helpless in your own life? Welcome to the world of dark psychology, a world where the human mind is understood and manipulated in such a way that the person himself does not realize that he has been trapped in an invisible trap. Amy Brown's book Dark Psychology Secrets and Manipulation talks about this mysterious world. This book brings out those hidden psychological techniques and strategies which are used by the most clever and cunning people of the world, whether they are politicians, sales experts, or those people who play with the minds of others only for their selfish motives. In this video, we will discuss this book. We will do a deep analysis, decode each strategy, and explain to you how people try to hack your psychology and make you act according to their will. But not only this, we will also know how you can protect yourself from these tricks. Many people think that manipulation is just a concept shown in movies, but in reality it is present in our everyday life, in our office politics, in our relationships, in our social media interactions, and even in some of our family dynamics. The real danger of dark psychology is that it is not visible to most people. Those who master it gain the power to bend the minds of others according to their will. That is why it becomes important to know how to protect yourself from being manipulated. Whenever someone tells you that you cannot even imagine what is happening to you, then you should be cautious, because often the things that we cannot see are the most dangerous. The biggest truth of dark psychology is that all this is done secretly and very cleverly. It is a silent war where words, emotions, and human mind are the biggest weapons. So are you ready to know the psychological secret? Do you want to know where the secrets of dark psychology and how some people can try to control your life without your permission? If yes, then watch this video till the end, because in this we will not only tell you about these manipulative tactics, but we'll also tell you the most effective ways to avoid it. So let's dive into this feature. Psychology can control our thoughts, our emotions, and even our actions. Chapter 1: Secrets and Strategies of Dark Psychology. Have you ever met a person who takes control of the environment without even saying anything? Have you ever felt that some people influence others so easily that the person in front does not even know that he is taking decisions not by their will, but by getting trapped in the trap of their mind? This is not magic, but the deep secrets and strategies of dark psychology are used by those people for their benefit. Know how to play with the mind and emotions of others. Dark psychology is the art in which the way of thinking, feeling, and decision-making of a person is changed by using psychological techniques. People who understand this have the ability to make others act according to their will and do not even let them realize it. This is such a power that the right person can use ethically, but the wrong person can use it as a dangerous weapon for his selfishness. People who are adept in dark psychology use some special strategies. The first and most important strategy is emotional mirroring. This is a method in which the manipulator subtly copies the emotions, expressions, and way of thinking of the other person. When someone gradually starts adopting your expressions, speaking style, and behavior, then your subconscious mind starts considering him as your own. This creates an unknown trust in you towards that person, and this is where manipulation begins. Another powerful strategy is fear-based control. The human mind is naturally affected by fear. When we are afraid of something, we are ready to do anything to avoid it. People who use dark psychology take advantage of this fear, and they do subtle things like they use words and thoughts that create uncertainty and fear in your mind. They show that if you do not listen to them, something bad can happen. This fear can be a financial loss, social rejection, or emotional breakdown. A person who uses fear correctly can set a narrative in your mind that works for his benefit. Apart from this, gaslighting is a psychological technique that is often used in dark psychology. In this, the person gradually tries to distort your perception, due to which you start doubting your own thoughts and memories. You start feeling that maybe you are wrong and the other person is right. When someone constantly says that you are misunderstanding things or your memory is deceiving you, then it can be a sign of gaslighting. This technique is so dangerous that the person starts doubting his own thinking and becomes completely dependent on the manipulator. Another hidden secret of dark psychology is guilt tripping. This is a technique in which a person arouses a feeling of guilt in another so that he is forced to listen to him. For example, if someone says that if you don't help me, I will be very upset, or if you don't listen to me, it will show that you don't care about me, then this is an example of guilt tripping. This is a subtle but very effective way by which people keep others under their control. These secrets of dark psychology are used not only in personal relationships, but also on a large scale. These techniques are also adopted in politics, business, marketing, and social media. Companies prepare advertisements by understanding the psychology of people to sell their products. They show the fear of scarcity, limited time offers, or stock running out fast, due to which customers take immediate decisions on impulse. Similarly, many leaders make their strategy successful by controlling the emotions of the public. One of the most dangerous techniques of dark psychology is the isolation technique. In this, the manipulator gradually distances his victim from the rest of the world so that he comes completely under his control. He makes him feel that other people are not trustworthy and only that person is right. When a person feels lonely, he becomes more dependent on the words of the manipulator. This technique, Audiobooks, can be used by anyone in a right or wrong way. If you learn to recognize these techniques, then you can not only avoid the manipulation of others, but can also make yourself mentally strong. Now the question arises, are you able to recognize these strategies? Do you know that someone is using these techniques with you? And most importantly, are you ready to protect yourself from it? Knowing the secrets of dark psychology is important not only so that you can control others, but also so that you learn to control yourself. When you understand these deep mind tricks, then no one can manipulate you easily. Now it is in your hands how you use this knowledge, like a mental shield or like a psychological weapon. Chapter 2, Analyzing Dark Psychology. Have you ever thought that if you have the power to understand the deep tricks going on in a person's mind, then how many things can you do in your favor? If you come and know that someone is playing a game with you, then before getting trapped in his trap, you should take precautions. Only we can save ourselves. To understand all this, we have to analyze dark psychology. This is not an ordinary psychology, but it is an attempt to go deep into those aspects of the human mind about which common people do not even think. Dark psychology is that area of psychology which is based on power control and influence. It is the art of understanding the weak points of a person, manipulating their desires and fears, and taking them in such a direction in which they themselves are not able to realize what is happening to them. It is an in-depth study of those mental techniques which are often used by narcissist psychopaths and master manipulators. In our daily life, we often come in contact with such people who play with our emotions, put us on a guilt trip, or try to make us act according to them by taking advantage of our fear. Many times we do not even realize that our decisions, our thinking, and even our emotions are being controlled by us. But when we start analyzing dark psychology, we start understanding how some people can control our feelings, our thinking, and our actions. Attempts to manipulate perceptions, the first and most important step to understand dark psychology is to know how the human mind works. Our psychological patterns, our fears, desires, and insecurities make us vulnerable. When someone approves us, we are happy, and when someone ignores us, we become restless. When someone triggers our fears, we get nervous, and when someone gives us validation, we start getting attracted to them. This is psychology, and this is the basis on which dark psychology works. Think, when a manipulator makes you feel that you are wrong and he is right, is it just an argument? When someone controls you by saying that you do not want to disrespect him, is it just an emotional request? When someone forces you to take fear-based decisions, is it just a warning? No, these are all tactics of dark psychology, using which people try to control others. Dark psychology has some of the most dangerous weapons: manipulation, deception, gaslighting, guilt tripping, and emotional exploitation. All these techniques are focused on the same thing: subtle control of the other person's emotions and thoughts. When someone guilt trips you and makes you feel that you are a bad person just so that you agree with them, then it is a classic example of dark psychology. When someone manipulates your perception and tries to convince you that your own thinking is wrong, then it is called gaslighting. And when someone uses deception to gradually bring you under their influence, then it is also a part of dark psychology. Another aspect of dark psychology is persuasion versus manipulation. Many people consider persuasion and manipulation to be the same thing, but there is a subtle difference between the two. Persuasion is an ethical skill in which the other person is made to agree with your point of view with a balance of logic and emotions without putting pressure on him, but manipulation is an unethical method. It is a technique in which the other person is controlled by playing with his emotions. By studying dark psychology properly, we understand how people think, how they react, and in which situations they are most vulnerable. Acquiring this knowledge does not mean that we use it in the wrong way, but its correct use can help us in self-defense. When we come and know that someone is playing with our emotions, we become alert and can avoid getting caught in that trap. The biggest question of this chapter is, do you know that you too have been a victim of some technique of dark psychology at some time in your life? Have you ever felt that your decisions were not your own, but someone subtly forced you to take them? Have you ever been in such a relationship where you have made a victim of gaslighting or guilt tripping? Analyzing dark psychology is a way to make yourself mentally strong. It is not just a science of understanding manipulation. Rather, it is a mental armor that can protect you from those who want to play with your emotions. When you learn to recognize the patterns of dark psychology, you can avoid getting caught in anyone's psychological games. You can increase your mental strength and take decisions of your life in a more conscious manner. Now it depends on you, whether you would like to remain like a puppet in the hands of others, or you will recognize the power of your mind and create a strong mental shield for yourself. Chapter 3, The Art of Manipulation. Have you ever wondered how some people are able to convince others so easily? They turn the thoughts and decisions of the other person according to themselves without any force or without giving any strong argument, only through words and gestures. All this is just a result of an art of manipulation. Manipulation is not just a psychological technique, but it is a game which is played on the emotions of human beings, their fears, their desires, and their insecurities. A skilled manipulator is one who reaches the subconscious mind of the other person. By reaching there, he makes him feel that he has reached that decision on his own, when in reality every step has been taken according to his plan. Think, when someone says to you that if you love me then you will do this, then is it a demand of love or a cleverly executed mental trick? When someone makes you feel guilty that you didn't help them even though you had the right reasons, was it just a simple request or a psychological trap? When someone through their words convinces you that you are wrong and they are right, was it just an argument or a subtle mind attack? Manipulation is deeply rooted in our emotions. Humans are emotional creatures. We all want love, respect, security, and acceptance. And when someone controls these emotions, they can bend us to their will. This art is so subtle that often we don't even realize that we are being manipulated. We think that we are taking our own decisions, but in reality, every decision is carefully planned to push us in a particular direction. A skilled manipulator knows what a person's biggest weakness is. Some people need validation. Some can be intimidated. Some can be controlled by drowning them in guilt, and some can be manipulated by trapping them in such situations where they have no other option. There is no way left. All this is a part of a mental game where no one seems to accept defeat, but in reality a person has always lost. Mentally, you might have seen many such examples in relationships, friendship, office politics, or in your personal life where people get their work done by playing with the emotions of others. Have you ever felt that someone convinced you to do something that you did not want to do? Have you ever been made to do something by putting you on a guilt trip, due to which you later felt that you did injustice to yourself? Have you ever dealt with people who twist your words so that you always feel guilty? There are many forms of manipulation: gaslighting, silent treatment, guilt tripping, passive-aggressive, and subtle mind games. All these techniques are designed for this one purpose: controlling the thoughts and decisions of another person. When someone makes you feel that your own thinking is wrong and you should listen to them under all circumstances, then it is called gaslighting. When someone gives you silent treatment so that you do things according to their wish, then this is also a form of manipulation. When someone does guilt tripping, he hits your consciousness in such a way that you start feeling bad and are forced to agree with them. But is manipulation always bad? The answer to this is not as easy as it seems. Sometimes manipulation can also be a means of self-defense. When someone is trying to forcefully influence you, then sometimes subtle manipulation is the only way by which you can protect yourself. When you have to deal with a toxic person, when you have to answer narcissists in their own language, then it can become a defensive weapon. But it is very important to understand that you have to understand manipulation to avoid being manipulated. If you recognize that someone is playing with your emotions, then you can get yourself out of this game. You have to understand that someone's anger, any emotion-driven argument, or any guilt tripping is not always genuine. Sometimes it is just a tactic, so that you do as per their wish. Chapter for the art of Pervez. Have you ever wondered why some people are so influential? Whatever they say, people agree to what they say. When they request for something, the other person cannot refuse. There is a different power in their presence, due to which people start agreeing with them. This is not magic, but it is persuasion, i.e. the art of persuasion. Persuasion is such an invisible power that affects the mind of a person gradually. It is not compulsion or manipulation, but it is a subtle influence in which the other person is attracted towards your thought of his own will without making him feel that he is being influenced. A skilled perverter is not one who does coercion, but one who is adept at understanding the thoughts, desires, and feelings of others and turning them in his favor. Think, when a salesperson sells you a product which you had no intention of buying, was it just a good selling or an effective persuasion technique? When a leader makes thousands of people agree to his point with the magic of his words, it was just a speech. Or a deep psychological strategy when a friend, relative, or colleague persuades you to do something of his own accord without any pressure, was it just a coincidence or the real power of the pave effect? The real power of the pave effect is its subtlety. This is not a way to force someone. Rather, it is the art of influencing someone's way of thinking in such a way that they themselves agree with your ideas. That is why the most successful people, whether they are business leaders, politicians, sales experts, or motivational speakers, are all adept in the art of persuasion. Human beings are emotional creatures, and emotions play a big role in every decision-making process. A good persuader knows that emotions influence people more than logic. That is why whenever great public speakers say something, they do not rely only on facts, but they connect their words with emotions so that people do not just understand that idea, but also feel it. If you pay attention, then the most use of persuasion is in our daily life. When a child insists on buying an expensive toy from his parents and tries to convince them again and again, then he is using persuasion at his tender age. When a boss makes his employee work overtime without any reason, then he is using persuasion at an early age. As per official orders, he is playing the game of purse wedging. When a lover tries to persuade his or her partner for a particular decision, he or she is also using this art. But there's a subtle difference between purse wedging and manipulation. In manipulation, the other person is compelled by playing with his or her emotions, whereas in purse wedging, his or her thinking is gently guided by showing him or her an alternative viewpoint. A skilled person never resorts to guilt trips or fear tactics. He or she understands what the other person wants, and keeping in mind his or her needs, he or she puts his or her point in such a way that the other person automatically agrees. The biggest strength of purse wedging is that it works like an invisible force. If used correctly, it can change anyone's thinking. Have you ever noticed that big brands don't just show the features of the product in their advertisements, but they target our emotions? In a perfume ad, you are not just shown the perfume, but you're made to feel that by applying it, you will become more attractive, and you will feel more confident. A car advertisement does not focus only on the specifications of the car, but also create a feeling of luxury, adventure, and power in you. This is the real power of personality. It presents something in such a way that people do not just see it, but also feel connected to it. Now, the question arises whether personality can be learned, and the answer is absolutely. It is not an innate quality, but a skill that can be learned. If you understand it, you can use it as a powerful tool in your personal and professional life. Chapter F, How to Protect Yourself from Dark Psychology. Have you ever felt that someone is slowly controlling you, but you are unable to understand how this is happening? Have you ever felt that someone is playing with your emotions, guilt-tripping you, or manipulating you according to their will? If yes, then it is important to know how you can protect yourself from the effects of dark psychology. This is not a trivial matter, because many times we are unable to recognize this mental game and gradually become its victim. The most dangerous aspect of dark psychology is that it is usually so subtle that we do not even realize it. It is hidden in someone's words, in their tone, in their body language, and sometimes even in their presence. People who are expert in this art do not even let their victim realize that they are being manipulated. But if you learn to recognize these techniques and keep yourself safe, then no one can control you easily. The first and most important step to protect yourself from dark psychology is self-awareness. If you have a deep understanding of your emotions, your thoughts, and your reactions, then no one will be able to manipulate you easily. Often manipulative people target the insecurities of others. They want to know what you care about the most, what is your biggest fear, and what makes you most emotionally vulnerable. If you know yourself well and accept your weaknesses, then you will not let others take advantage of those weaknesses. The next step is emotional creating boundaries. Many people are manipulated because they cannot define their emotional boundaries and do not know when they should ignore someone's words. When should you take them seriously, and when should you save your energy? A manipulator will always want you to forget your boundaries and act according to them. They will resort to guilt tripping, make you feel obligated, and sometimes use your own emotions against you. If you strengthen your boundaries and learn to say no, then you can save yourself from these mental games. After this comes critical thinking and logical analysis. A master manipulator always uses emotions because they know that emotions influence a person the most. But if you start analyzing everything logically, then you can avoid manipulation. Whenever someone says something to you or pushes you for something, ask yourself whether it's really right or is it just an emotional trap. Sometimes, just by thinking this much, we can avoid the trap of manipulation. The most important thing to avoid dark psychology is to be assertive. This is a quality in which you keep your point firmly, but a manipulative person without any aggression is powerful only when the other person is weak. But when you are confident of yourself, express your opinion clearly and take your decisions without coming under pressure, then no one can manipulate you easily. Apart from this, it is also very important to understand the people around you. Often the people who manipulate us are in our daily life, friends, colleagues, relatives, or sometimes even our closest people. They slowly trap us in emotional traps and do not even let us realize that they are playing with our mind. That is why it is important to pay more attention to people's actions than their words. If someone is repeatedly trying to lower your self-esteem, guilt-tripping you, or mentally exhausting you, then it is a red flag. The most effective way to avoid dark psychology is to make yourself mentally strong. This means increasing self-respect, self-worth, and self-confidence. When a manipulator sees that you are losing your value, if you understand this, then they fail to control you. They always target those people who are looking for emotional validation, who need approval, or who are easily influenced. But if you recognize your own value, then no one will be able to control you by guilt-tripping you. Another important thing to avoid dark psychology is to maintain distance. If you realize that someone is constantly affecting your mental health, then the best way is to gradually distance yourself from them. This is not possible every time, but wherever you get a chance, you should try to stay away from toxic people. Sometimes the best self-defense is that you stay away from the source of manipulation. The most important thing is to get yourself out of the victim mindset. Many people think that they keep getting manipulated again and again and they cannot avoid it. But the truth is that dark psychology affects only those people who do not understand it. When you learn to recognize these psychological tricks, then you become so strong mentally that no one can manipulate you easily. Now the question arises, have you ever been manipulated by someone but you did not realize at that time? Have you ever been a victim of guilt trip, emotional blackmail, or gaslighting? And if yes, are you ready to protect yourself now? Not everyone understands dark psychology, but those who understand it can change their lives completely. Now it depends on you whether you will see it only as a psychological ear or adopt it as a mental shield and protect yourself from all kinds of emotional manipulation. So, friends, if you like this video and you want to keep bringing the essence of more such books for you, then do not forget to like the video. Do tell your thoughts in the comment. Have you ever felt that someone was manipulating you without your knowledge? And if yes, what did you do to avoid it? Your opinion matters a lot to me, and yes, if you are new to this channel, then subscribe to the channel and press the bell. Press the icon so that you can get such powerful and informative videos first. Next time we will meet with another interesting book, which will make your thinking even more sharp and effective. Thank you. See you in the next video.